Welcome to our international podcast, folks. Below the belt, who vex lose. Welcome to our international podcast, guys. We are joining the Agri Investment Forum. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, is speaking, and we will join that, and we will pick you up at the other end of his presentation. We will come back to you for some commentary, news, and other information. We're taking you to the Agri Investment Forum, where Dr. Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, is currently speaking.
Initiative. And that was a meeting in St. Anne's in Trinidad, CARICOM meeting, very much like this in Trinidad, sponsored by, supported by CARICOM, sponsored by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. For a lot of these objectives will not be realized. We cannot, as a small economy, fighting against the winds that are buffeting us, they did so poignantly during COVID-19 worst days, to still be operating on the basis you versus me and mine versus yours. On the other hand, if the St. Anne's initiative, which came into being because at the time when I joined the CARICOM heads of government, the unthinkable was happening. We had taken the single market and economy off the agenda list of CARICOM. At the initiative of Trinidad and Tobago, it was put back on the agenda. And that St. Anne's meeting was to drive us along the line to actually get something done, agree to do it. That initiative is in place. It's on paper. It's among the leaders. We're meeting here today, not after, but during a pandemic, because only this morning I was monitoring the response some countries and looking at the data of the continued infection at high levels of people responding to the virus. Thank God, the hospitalization is not rising, but the infection levels are rising again. One of the things that I think we've all agreed on, and the experts have told us that, is that what we have experienced in COVID-19 is likely to happen again and to happen more frequently. And for those of us who in the worst days of COVID-19 heard our private sector saying to us as government that they could not place an order for a supply of food, and our Ministry of Health could not administer a vaccine even though we had the money to buy it because we could not buy a vaccine. We have been warned. We have been warned. So when we hear now in these salubrious environment, externally and internally in this building, let us remember that amongst us, there will be responses that are saying, we prefer to protect the status quo of the narrow existing interest as against doing what has to be done to broaden it for the interest of the wider CARICOM people. Let's understand that. So I'm asked to speak, if we had time to speak on all these things, on investments and marketing, for the simple reason that I've been saying that unless we get the appropriate investments, the scale at which we are required to perform will not be achieved. Because the fundamental principle of economics, the economies of scale, will always apply to us. And therefore, Guyana's role in giving CARICOM the opportunity to produce on the scale at which we can produce, to be a participant in feeding ourselves, is important. And that's why I'm here to support this Guyanese initiative, driven by the works of Vice President and President of Guyana as integral leaders in CARICOM. Because while we want to protect our peasant agriculture, while we want to ensure that the current interests are not trampled upon, we must do what has to be done to increase production. But that increase in production is going to do something. It's going to disturb the status quo of the current arrangements. And that is status quo, if it is not on board and in board, is going to dominate the conversation of protection, and we will not get it done. Why do you think President Skerrit is asking you today that he could sell avocado to Europe, but he can't sell it down the road, 100 miles down the road? Why do you think we have so many possibilities of production within a region, COVID or no COVID, but there's no easy movement of these products? A lot of it is the protection of the status quo. But if we accept that the giant step of a single market and economy is to come into being, then it will remove this chronic impediment of talking while knowing that we don't intend to interfere with the status quo. For example, we talked, my colleague and I from Barbados, we talked about this idea of having, within this single market and economy, a single company register, where once a company is registered anywhere in the CARICOM, it is deemed to be registered everywhere in the CARICOM. That is a simple, straightforward way of encouraging entrepreneurial recognition under law, but it will remove a lot of impediment. Simple as that is. And of course, if we are going to produce in significantly increased volumes, we immediately bring into play the question of transport. When we became independent as a federation, that fleeting existence that we had, the Canadian government gave us a gift. And that gift were two vessels, two ships, the Federal Maple and the Federal Palm. And they ran up and down the CARICOM, starting in Jamaica, down to Trinidad, back up. And at no time that I can recall were the people of this region, the CARICOM region, ever better connected and better served. But at the end of the useful life of those ships, they were never replaced. Not because there was no reason to replace them or that the job had been done, but that we, the independents, had not done what had to be done to serve our people. We knew what had to be done. It has never been done. I gather that there are international supporters at this conference. And I will say it here today. If you really want to help CARICOM to do what we are saying that we could do here for the good reasons advanced, one of the best things that you could do is to help the team of governments of the region to fund and have operating within the CARICOM region vessels of that nature so as to bring our people together to travel by sea in an affordable way. Because it has been done, it needs to be done. Goods and services by sea, after by rail, is always the cheapest. There's some specifics that we need to do. Specifics. Phytosanitary guards, we need, yes, to ensure that we don't spread disease unnecessarily among ourselves. But there are not to be barriers to the explosive increases that can come if we move out of the comfort zones that we exist now, but comfort zones for the few at the expense of the many. Ladies and gentlemen, there's so much that we can do, so much that we must do, because food security is not going to come at the time that you need it. The worst time to try to build a fire brigade is during the fire. We have to be cognizant of the conflagration of a fire that could engulf all of us and build it when there is good, fair weather. And that is what will serve us when there's an outbreak of fire. But for that to happen, there has to be a sustained business model. In my meeting with President Ali on Tuesday afternoon, we spoke at length about the need for the business model. What is the business model that we are going to use to bring about this expansion in food supply that will cause us to have a food supply that will survive fair winds and foul, and that will bring us the benefits of that increased production? Because increased production, without proper transportation, proper storage, and of course, agro-processing to ensure that the word glut doesn't become part of the vocabulary, requires a proper business model. And that is why today, representing Trinidad and Tobago, I could say that Trinidad and Tobago is in a position to develop a business model with the potential in Guyana and the potential in CARICOM to have us use energy, use expertise, use our universities to put us in a position to do what has to be done. Nobody is going to come to do it for us. As we said at the beginning of the pandemic, nobody is going to come to our assistance. We have to do it ourselves. And we saw it when Barbados couldn't buy half a dozen ventilators. We couldn't buy a vaccine. Those who had them kept them to themselves. Nobody is going to give us food when food is in short supply. So if we don't put arrangements in place to ensure that whatever the weather, there is food for our people, then who can we blame? We have to do it now, so that when the next time it happens, we will be in a better position, not a worse position. We have to argue effectively and convincingly at the WTO against the current arrangements that work against us. We might be small, but we are not insignificant. We must let our voices be heard. We must let our interests be served. We are aware of what we have to do. It is because we are aware of what we have to do why today, in the office of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, you have an advisor, an agricultural advisor, who is a geneticist. Expertise that tells us other people are growing grain and planting things. It doesn't mean that we have to grow the same variety of grain in this region or on these soils. But it is possible to understand the genetics and to get varieties that are suitable for our environment. And that is where our universities come in. The University of Trinidad and Tobago, that is technologically biased. The University of Guyana, the University of the West Indies. Our research now has to be with a fierce urgency of identifying for the producers the varieties that we can produce on scale so that we can supply ourselves with the inputs for animal feed, with the inputs for human oil, consumption of human oils. And therefore, we want to see fields of soy growing within the CARICOM, Belize, and Guyana where the acreage is available. We want to see corn being harvested, grown in areas where they can be grown, and of course, find themselves in as raw materials being processed for our own food supply. And of course, as we do that, we keep our eyes on other people's needs because we can supply some of their needs as well. It is only a fog in our vision and an absence of our own commitment that can hold us back from doing what we can do and what we must do. And this initiative is probably not the first step, but a giant step in trying to get us to come to the point of identifying business models that we must implement with the support of all those who back us. Make the investments, do what has to be done, and utilize the resources that God has blessed us with within the CARICOM. The least we can do for our people is to do the most that we can do under the circumstances. And that is why Trinidad and Tobago provides full support and hold out the promise of full participation in every effort that is geared towards this very vexing subject of can we or will we feed ourselves. But of course, our people have been so conditioned. Just like the time when you go past the market, not enough breadfruit being consumed, not enough cassava being consumed, not enough dasheen and sweet potato fries being consumed, but they're harassing the government about not enough foreign exchange to buy imported white potato. So yeah, we have to make the dietary changes to fit our ability to feed ourselves, otherwise we are just vassals of other people's problems, masquerading as the wronged and the entitled. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an exciting period. Our young people, some of them here with us today are at school. 2 or 3 years from today, they'll be out in the workplace. They would be required to use the technology that they're being trained in now and the experiences that they're seeing now and the failures that we have had to ensure that their generation does not end up in the same situation, being at the mercy of those on the outside who will not come to our aid in a time of urgency. We have to change the model. We have to change it. But you know, the most aggressive conversations in CARICOM is about movement of people. Movement of people. Last 2 weeks ago, we took to our parliament a piece of legislation to complete this whole question of the handful of skills that we are allowed to move within the region. And what did we experience? We experienced voices within our parliament openly objecting and indicating that this is taking jobs from local people. We have to move away from that to a total commitment to being who we are and doing what has to be done. Otherwise, we'll have more conferences like this in different years other than 2022. And we keep asking ourselves, why not? This conference, to place us at a fork in the road, but we take the decision to make the turn in the direction where we commit to an improved production system to give us food sustainability in all conditions, anticipated and unanticipated. I want to thank President Ali and his team and the people of Guyana for the very warm welcome that you have extended to me on behalf of the people of Guyana to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and to let you know that the closest relative you have in the CARICOM is Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you.
And folks, you were listening there to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley. I'm joined in studio by the co-host for the morning program, FYI, Judah Fernandez. And we've been listening to the statesman. He characterized himself as the elder statesman in the room among the Caribbean leaders. And you understand why listening to him there. Folks, we want to hear from you as well. We're going to open up our WhatsApp to receive your voice notes as well. Let us hear from you today. We love hearing from you, our listeners. So you can send through those voice notes, nothing long. Y'all know we like to keep it short and to the point here. Jurida.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. Please.
Yes. Quite, quite interestedly, but it's just all the words. I've been taking some notes throughout the various presentations that were being
Yeah,
made
yeah,
this
yeah,
morning,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think Mr. Rowley, Keith Rowley, I think he placed himself well when he said elder statesman, because he was basically saying that he is the most senior in the room. He said when he looked on the stage, then he said when he looked across the stage, he realized
It's the most senior.
he's
Yeah, yeah,
basically he's the most senior. He's been around the longest. So like some things that may sound new and foreign to some folks, but he's
yes.
heard it
Yeah,
before. That's
yeah.
basically what he was saying.
Correct.
Like we've heard it, but where's the
and we
action to go
heard
with what
and we
these
heard
plans
the
are?
depth and breadth of his presentation as well. And we had a very sound presentation too from the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mayor Motley, again letting us know that what has to be achieved here is something that has been elusive. It is not the first initiative of this kind in the Caribbean, but it's always been, shop and talk. That is what it has been. And Prime Minister Rowley, they're outlining what is needed if we are to achieve food security in the Caribbean. Food security in the Caribbean is not taking the Commissioner of Police to a high level Caribbean leaders meeting.
I think they
Right?
took it literal.
Yeah,
Food
right? For
security.
food security is not taking the Commissioner of Police to a high level meeting, where they're serving food, right? To secure the food. It's bigger than that. It's much bigger, wider, Chirita. Much bigger and wider.
Most definitely. But I think one of the important points that Prime Minister Rowley mentioned is when he spoke about the fact that increased production will mean disturbing the status quo.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
one of the most profound points I've heard thus far, and I want to say that this is the issue that we are facing right now. Yes, you're talking about it, you're talking the talk, it sounds all nice and good, but then there are some that are basically unwilling to disturb the status quo. That's what he's saying. So this is not the
Yes.
first conversation that we've been
Precisely.
down this road with, but
Precisely.
it's a willingness to disturb the status quo for us to actually benefit collectively.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
has not been
But due to that
realized.
has so many implications, because if we don't want to disturb the status quo at home, we go in the region and disturb the status quo, because the status quo will have to be disturbed at
Well,
home
that's what I was thinking.
as we deepen our food security in the region. And that is the problem we're having. Right? The people
Mm,
who make money want to be the only people who make the money.
correct.
That's the problem that we have.
That is
Right?
correct.
We got
Wow.
lots of land in this country, but we only believe that farming should be done in one area. That those guys get the subsidies. Those guys get the benefit of the policies. But if we are to talk about true food security, we can sustain the whole region on a 2x4 plot of land in some part of this region.
Oh
So we're gonna
goodness.
have to upset the status quo. That's what we say. Talk to us.
Most definitely. I think that was a song point, because we at home here in Guyana, we know that there is blatant unwillingness to go down that road of the persons there at the top in the administration. They have no intention of disturbing
Yeah.
status quo, of
Yeah.
sharing the pie, distributing more, receiving less. Come
Precisely.
on.
And here is Carmela saying that Guyana has a visionless government hosting an agri-investment expo, and I tend to agree with him. I tend to agree with God.
You can listen to all the presentations, and so it's so easy. I've been involved in politics a little bit, and now I've taken to it's so easy to decipher when persons are just there to just prop up talks as against real hardcore discussions that needs to be had in the directions. I think that Mr. Rowley was right on point. Says, this has brought us to at the fork.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you have to choose a direction in which you
And
go.
I'm happy what he said, because you all know there's been a lot of tension building in this conference surrounding Mr. Rowley and Mr. Jagdio. And even though Mr. Jagdio seemingly has been credited with this particular initiative starting way in 2005 when he was president, Uh, Lots of the Caribbean leaders have been careful to point out there have been other initiatives of this nature.
Correct.
And as a matter of fact, I think it was the prime minister of which country? But the person Dominic, as the prime minister who spoke before him, who was articulating, was it the Bahamas? The
I
deputy prime minister of the
cannot
Bahamas,
recall. I'm sorry.
who was talking to us and said that it has to be broader than that, and it was articulating the failures, as a matter of fact, of the Jagdio, what they dubbed the Jagdio initiative, the failures of the initiative, and this is a second iteration of it. Y'all know what happening. Y'all know this is third term, right? Don't let me pretend we know it's third term,
Well, I
right?
think
A second iteration of the Jagdio initiative that they're trying with here. Let's see where it goes.
I cannot just pretend I didn't hear Prime Minister Rowley addressed Jagview then Ali.
Yeah. He knows when to publicize.
So, I mean, it may have been a mistake,
He
but
understands. He understands. Really
knowing
publicize.
Rowley, it rather may not be a mistake. But a lot for us to actually have discussions on. I know a lot was said
Definitely
when it
so.
comes to the aspects, especially when in terms of transportation. I know he touched on that a little bit,
Yeah.
and basically speaking to investors directly. So basically, if you really want to help CARICOM, do the things that really matters, like providing
Yeah.
vessels for people to actually travel at an affordable rate and so forth, because these are very important matters that we hardly touch on at all.
Yeah. Very much
The
so.
accessibility between the countries, between the CARICOM.
Due to this inaugural Agri Expo and Forum, it's a 3-day event, and we bring me to understand that on the first day of the expo, it will open to the public from 2 o'clock, according to this report we have here. It will be open to the public from 2 o'clock. There will be a donor roundtable with donor agencies such as the Caribbean Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the World Food Program inter area will have a chance to discuss opportunities with the various CARICOM states. That's a donor roundtable on day 2, that is tomorrow. They should be having, they should be bringing together potential investors and stakeholders on new and emerging opportunities in CARICOM agriculture. There will also be a matching of bankable agricultural projects with available private and public financing, and a plenary on advancing agri-food system agenda, by right, a plenary on advancing the agri-food systems agenda. And on day 3, there will be an event which focuses on youth and gender, and that is how the 3-day event breaks down. Again, this is the Agri Expo and Forum.
Well, I would definitely will be stopping by to have some conversations myself. I like to have some first-hand information, I dare say, about what is going on. I will definitely be stopping by to have some conversations with the actual farmers that are going to be there. I mean, it's all good and nice. It sounds all lovely on the surface, but I like to talk to the people
Yeah.
to find out what their real challenges are, what they expect to come out of their participation.
Well, the real
As I
challenges,
said,
as you outlined it, as we began the program, the
yes,
fact, as Dr. Keith Rowley, Trinidadian Prime Minister, had said, the status quo, right? And I think it was Mayor Martin who articulated that when the Jagdu initiative was first birthed, you had the Caribbean imports at 1.8 billion. Since that time, it has gone 5 times that amount. And
yes,
clearly, one of the early speakers said, was again articulating some of the failures of the initiative and why this instance here, this iteration of that initiative, this Agri Expo and Forum has to be quite different,
yes,
right?
correct. Yeah, because I think Raoul went at length to break that down, and the impediments altogether,
Mm-hmm.
and that's there, and whether or not at what is being said at the surface would actually be materialized, and actually persons and speakers did speak to the fact that you need policy measures in order to realize all these fantastic ideas and goals. And that's what Rowley said. That's what he was hitting back home to when he spoke about the fact that he was the most senior on on the stage there, because he's basically saying that I am hearing all of these things, but I have heard it before.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have heard these things, but
Yes.
what is the policy measure
Outlining to some
that is
of
going to
the
be designed?
initiatives that his very own Trinidad and Tobago would have taken in St. Anne's. This is an area I used to work
That is
when I lived in
correct.
Trinidad, right? And the fact that if you don't have deeper buy-in and people who are willing to upset the status quo, then we aren't going nowhere. I think we have a contributor to it. I think we have a contributor.
Go right ahead.
Good morning, Sherrod.
Hold
Good afternoon,
on. Mm-hmm.
fellow viewers,
Talk to us.
Jareka and Sherrod.
Talk to
I'm
us.
sorry I wasn't able to hear Mr. Rowley from the inception of his presentation. However, I have a burning question. Now, there's this big agri investment project um, being undertaken right now in Guyana. However, I listened to Sharma Solomon's presentation, and it just disturbed me so much. My thinking is, while all of this is going on, why wasn't there some kind of indication to these foreigners what exactly is happening in Guyana? The destruction of farmers, produces. We're talking about agri investment, yet you're destroying crops that feeding people. What Mr. Rowley mentioned about utilizing what you have available as against importing, change your dietary habits. So why is it that these people are being allowed to get away with damaging what is being done here? And there is no rising up to show the foreigners what exactly they need to be exposed, man. It's just not, I keep saying it all the time. It's sad, but then something must be done. So that's my presentation, and you continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Thank you for that contribution. Thank you for that contribution. Very, very valid points. And that's what we've been saying. You know, the PPP and the catfish diplomacy, they can talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? And that is the trouble we're having. They talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? And I think that is the question the contributor is asking. You have people who are talking about food security in the region, improving agriculture, investment in agriculture, giving people the tools to grow more, to be more, and then you breaking up and destroying people's farmlands. That's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. Rita, you want to add something there?
I think you're absolutely correct, and her concern. I can feel the passion in her voice. Is that persons are in basically people are at a breaking point. I think,
Yeah, they are.
if I can say it like that. And she's right. At some point in time, Guyanese, all of Guyana, and I keep saying, especially when it comes to the farmers, they have to demand more. They have to realize that they are worth more altogether. And collectively, when their voices are put together, they will be heard. But we cannot continue a country where everybody is pushing and pulling and tugging against each other to see what they can get. And that is the whole thing with disturbing the status quo.
It is.
That's what
It
we've been
is.
talking about. They have to come together. Forget about all of this, which region you are from. And all. If you're a farmer, you're a farmer. Farmers collectively have to raise their voices. If it is not done in that mechanism, they are allowed, the administrations allow the opportunity to further push divisive mechanisms to appease some of them here and there and all of that. And then their voice is watered down, and the impact and the influence altogether.
Yeah.
It is like that.
Yep. Let's take another contributor.
Good afternoon, Sherrod. That was a massive speech from Dr. Rowley.
Good afternoon. Agreed.
That is when you listen, that's eloquence at its highest. I know Catfish going to deliver that. moving along. Now he's talking about this food thing. Lots of Africans are in the production of food, planting various crops. But now with the way that the install regime is going about and destroying our crops, our farming area wantonly, spitefully, how are we to fit into this same scenario of producing food? I think that is a point that must be looked in so that we as Africans can continue to plant and to share within the benefits of being a farmer and being able to produce food. But if we try new foods, but we must be allowed to produce food. Because look what happened in Buxton back then years ago. I think Maka, and it's now happening to the people in Amelia's Ward, Linden. Bye bye.
We hear that. We hear that.
All good points. All very good
Very
points.
valid points. Very valid points.
I like to know when folks are very much in tuned and engaged in the discussion altogether. And every time we have the voice notes coming through, I am most happy to hear them. And I think we have another one right
Yeah,
now.
and I'm so happy. We have a very engaged audience,
Well
right?
informed.
A well-informed listenership, highly intelligent, right? Don't let it come wrong, y'all funny. Let's take another contributor, folks.
Good afternoon, Sheridan Jurito.
Good afternoon, sir. Rockefeller.
Mr. Rowley, you could see that he's a true statesman. The way he spoke, you could see that he is well in, inclined with what is taking place in the Caribbean. And from all indications, what he said makes a lot of sense. We cannot be doing one thing all the time and expect different results. We got to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. Right? Another thing, we can also see that he went to a proper university. The way he spoke, that alone told me that.
Shots fired. Shots fired. He went to a proper university. Shots fired. Chirita.
Well, I can't. I have to say that I know where that is directed. So
You can't name make it with yourself.
I think indications are being
Yes,
I think
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
have been thrown at to indicate a particular university in Eiffel isn't really proper.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Very much so. Very much so. Guys, let's take another contributor.
Good morning, Mr. Duncan. Good morning, Miss Finance.
Good day,
And
sir.
good
Good
morning
day.
to all listening Guyanese and folks. Now, in Guyana, Mr. Rowley made a point that all the status quo in the country must not, we cannot destroy it or remove it or do what do. You got to get progress and we must continue. But in Guyana, Mr. Rowley got to faith with Les Guyana is a different scenario. He's talking, the first thing I heard Mr. Rowley said is that, thank God for the President Ali and the Vice President. Isn't there a supposed to be a first Vice President who's supposed to be Mark Phillips? That is the first thing that we have to start destroying and get right.
Yeah.
That is one. And two, you know very well in this country that getting land to do agriculture is very hard for us, certain set of people, because I have facts, I have papers to show that my son applied for 3 acres of land because he wanted to do extensive poultry farming. It's not that he don't have the money. He applied for it on the highway. They give them send a letter there. They acknowledge that he sent for it, and then they send back a next letter saying yes. And up there when he comes, he runs to lands and survey. He cannot get 3 acres of land. And they got foreigners coming in here and getting acres upon acres of land to develop. That is what they're talking. This is Guyana. We still entitled to be given land first preference once we can afford to do it. But up to now, it ain't going on. So it's a different scenario like in Caribbean island here. It's a different sect in this country. And Guyanese got to realize we got to start standing up, as I said before. Mr. Rowley, we got to destroy it got to destroy. Our status quo got to destroy before Guyana start going right. It's about the money. Look at the set of businessmen that who go into that thing. You want to tell them they don't have Afro Guyanese at a level that wants to invest in the country? No, well, they don't have the program set. Look at the people they bring in from Saudi Arabia, India, and all those places. They ain't going to Haiti and Africa and everything. The Africans that they're bringing in are the Africans who as I would, the Africans who I would call them, most of them I would call them the Negroes, not black people, the Negroes. So we have to go far away to satisfy the food security in the Caribbean. At first, we got to satisfy food security in Guyana, and because one set of people want to get richer all the time, and the rest must remain poor, and we must get poorer and poorer and poorer. That's it. I'm going to say, but there's a lot more things we got to discuss. Not now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. Folks, this is a vast, vast issue. That's why they have 3 days to discuss it. Right? And Rowley made the point, unless you're willing to change and to shatter, to change up the status quo, we ain't going no place. We ain't going no place.
Good afternoon to you,
Good
my beautiful
afternoon,
MPs, and all the listeners on Below the Veil. Sherrod, all I will say is that I love Prime Minister Rowley. I love
We know you
and
will.
enjoy every word that he has said. And I hope that the PPP regime, though installed as they may be, taking carefully what he has said and what their other counterparts have said to them. Never mind, we know that it might go through one ears and come through the other one. But I hope that they take whatever these people have said and put it into context and consideration and do the right thing. They need to do the right thing. But it seems as though regardless of whoever come to meet with them and sit and they have all these conferences and meetings and whatever, it is of no use and sense to the Guyanese, to the PPP rather. And I hope that the PPP trench crappers and the jagabats who just be on your programs listen and take in what these people just be coming and say, because everybody's embarrassing the PPP and they seem not to care a cahoots about whatever anybody is saying. They are all bent on doing whatever they chooses to do. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you for that contribution. You know, we cannot underscore the point, Jarita, and listeners, Pansy Field and Kim Walker, Gallus Spectator, Yvonne Ramasar, and Jacqueline Arga, and all the other folks, we cannot underscore that while we're having this discussion, talking about bringing down food imports by 25% into the Caribbean by 2025, our rice production is down, sugar production is down, and what other production is down, you know. So that's our concern. If we can, you know, produce sugar, make sugar great again like we promised, if we can produce rice at the scale that is needed, right? How are we going to food and clothe and house the nation, much more the region?
I think that was what Mr. Rowley was speaking about, you know, when he spoke about the increased production and the fact that that will actually disturb the status quo. And I think he made a reference also to the fact that it's easier for them to sell a particular product out of the Caribbean as opposed to selling, getting the market right within the Caribbean. Just wanting to say that we're going to have food security within the Caribbean with all that is being done. But another way, there is another when the actions are not supported. I see Mustafa is speaking right now. I don't know if you want to bring in some of that
I would be
content.
very
Minister of
scared to let people listen to Mustafa.
Agriculture.
But we're going to take some of the presentation from Minister of Agriculture, Zulfikar Mustafa. Then we're going to come back to some of your contributions, guys. We're not going to take much of it, but we're going to come back in very, very short order to our contributions by our listeners, because that is more important
But
to
it's
us.
very important for us to hear
Yes,
what
let's
he's
hear. Let's
saying
take some of
also.
what Mustafa is saying as soon as we can. The guys are going to help us to patch it through, and let's see if we can bring through some of that.
Has agreed for all its people. Our individual and collective potential are not in dispute, as we heard from many leaders, and our commitment fully demonstrated here today. This forum therefore creates that springboard and motivation to achieve the true intent of this initiative. Allow me therefore to extend the appreciation of the government and the people of Guyana and that of the region and beyond for your participation and commitment shown. Allow me to extend our appreciation to those delegates and participants from beyond the region. Your participation has further underlined the global importance of agriculture and food security. Given some current global challenges and trends, that importance has become even more paramount. With evolving technology in aiding improvement in efficiency in almost every aspect of agriculture, this forum helps to facilitate the promotion, engagement, and informed dialogue among key stakeholders along the agri-food value chain of policymakers, development partners, foreign and local private investors, farmers, distributors, and how investment could be encouraged and the 25% by 2025 program can be accelerated. Therefore, its realization is of major significance, and appreciation must be extended to all those who work tirelessly beyond the call to make it possible. President Ali, the CARICOM heads, the organizing committee, our local and international partners, sponsors, investors, and potential investors, exhibitors, the media, and all those who contributed must be commended. As we head to the working sessions and expo, fruitful discussions are envisaged, while our individual and collective potential will be on display through products and services. While we must feel a tremendous sense of pride.
I think that's that. Yeah, guys. So I guess that is the voters' and Some as though they're wrapping up, and then we're not going to get any.
In what we produce, we must be cognizant of the great.
So we are back to you. We're going to take some of our contributors, guys, and we're so grateful again, a much needed discussion to be had, and I love the fact that some of the guys are raising the whole issue about the farms that have been demolished, right, because of the ignorance of the installed regime. Let's take another contributor, folks.
Sharon and Jarita and all the listeners, you don't think that Mr. Rowley know exactly what's going on in Guyana? Yes, he know. But at the conference, he can say, yes, he can tell us A, B, C to those who doesn't know. He can spread out A, B, C, and D. He already know what's going on. Remotely, everybody know what's going on. Them don't all them know what they're doing to the people of Guyana. It is not right.
Agreed. He knows these were leaders, these Caribbean leaders. They know what is going on. You think Rowley don't know? You think Rowley don't have the 411 who are going on in this country? He knows, but you're not going to come on that level and throw all your the Dorothy Lenin out in public. You got to represent this country well on the global stage and the regional stage. So you're precisely right, my sister. Precisely right. Let's take another contributor, guys. We'll take another contributor as we look at the catfish diplomacy, the PP and the agri-investment forum. We're going to take another contributor, and I'm happy again. Our listeners, Judah, are in touch with these issues. They're in touch with these issues, right? And I don't know why Alex Graham is hosting this event. He talks too much. God knows. Right? You're not the head of the state. Introduce the people and move off the stage.
I'm not sure how much the Zulfikar Mustafa actually said, because that seems like an extremely short.
Yeah.
Short.
I'm talking longer than the Minister
So
of Agriculture right now.
That's not
Folks, we're going to have another contributor and come right back, guys. Hold for us. We're going to try to bring this in another way.
I'm noting the comments from Naomi Drucker out there, Ron Delay, and I see you guys, Basil Clark and Carla Miller. How are you all? Thank you so much for joining the podcast. Today, it is absolutely a necessary discussion that is being had right now when it comes to food security. But whether or not the status quo is willing to be disturbed will direct where we move forward with all of this.
Yep. Let's take another contributor, folks.
Good morning, Sherrod.
Good morning.
Charity begins at home, not abroad.
Amen.
The government is making it difficulty for the small size farmers because poor drainage and irrigation, difficulty to get more lands, destroying people's produce when they plant it. That some people, not everybody.
Correct is
So
right.
is hypocrisy that they have Agri Expo and they're not considering Guyanese. You got to start at home before you go abroad. I don't know, this government of it all, I don't know, upside down. Their thinking is not rational.
You mix up.
Start with your people first before you go abroad. Guyanese used to suffer a lot when they go abroad. Barbados, Trinidad, they were the days of the benches. They were treated poorly. And now, because there is oil in Guyana, becomes what now? Guyanese need better living. Better living. The roads for some of the farmers to transport their produce. It's very bad. Some of those roads are deplorable.
Correct.
So this government should get their act right. Guyanese first.
Guyanese first.
Foreigners
I like
first.
that. I like it. And you all folks, you all know it like the show with the macho one people, one nation, one destiny, right? You all notice like we pelled away. Let's take another contributor. Like we pelled away.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sharon and Jarita. You know, we gotta understand, this is what a lot of people, according to the last vice noto, you understand? A lot of black people willing to do things, you understand? Willing to farm, willing to do stuff. But we think going on, the discrimination, you understand? You want lands, you gotta get fight down and all that. Then the clown James Bond gonna sit down and make a post, but you know nothing but no discrimination and it's not the PVP, it's the enemy and a whole heap of nonsense. He was in it, he know what's going on, he know the victimization. How could you come up and say something like that? But no discrimination, all these things. You understand? And we think gonna happen. This summit gonna finish, then they're gonna start pushing the friends and whoever they want thing, and it can be the same thing. We gotta hurry and get these people out of office, man, and make a change. We need to hurry and get these people out of office.
Thank you for your contribution, sir. Thank you very much for that contribution. We are going to go right to another one. Thank you for that contribution. We're going to go right to another contribution. And let's see what we have here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Duncan.
All right, hold for us. Let's get some more audio here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Duncan, Jarita, and listeners. I am going to validate the point that Mr. Rowley is a man of eloquence. Those who have ears to hear will hear. I also support that person who said the farmers should have been speaking out so that the visitors would know exactly how duplicitous some of those persons engaged in the event at the moment are. For me, the thing is not about um, holding a big event. For me, the thing is what will happen after the event. How many persons will actually get involved in pushing the ideas forward, pushing food security forward. I noticed Mr. Rowley spoke also about transportation. You know, when we get all of this done, what method of transportation will be used to transport our produce from Guyana to Trinidad or Trinidad to Guyana? Or was he referring to the fact that at the moment we have a lot of foreign airlines doing our transportation? Guyana once had an airline, which is Guyana, I think it was Guyana Airways. We no longer have that, and we're piggybacking on everyone else when we can do something for ourselves, right? So I loved Mr. Rowley's speech. It's now to see what will be the response and what engaging actions will take place after this event.
Correct.
The second thing is I want to address Mr. Sean Singh and Lacho Mahabir, who continue to come on your program and behave silly. Now, Mr. Sean Singh, you're speaking about PNC and dog food. Is that your contribution to this discussion? For once, I wish yourself and Lacho Mahabir would behave like responsible Guyanese who are right thinking and make sense when you come on the program. I am going to say this again. The disrespect will continue and it will be heightened because of that decision by the DPP yesterday. It's only one day, and Sean Singh is on this program, I should say, talking about PNC and dog food. Do you guys see what I'm talking about?
All right. Thank you for that contribution. I'm happy we don't even have to respond to some of these guys, that we have a very, very educated listenership who can do that on our behalf. So we can go on with the rest of the program. Thank you, my sister, for coming through and for that contribution there. Thank you so much for that. And let us see what else we have here, guys. I'm going to have another contributor for you. Trying to bring that in very quickly. Want to make sure it's the right place we bring it in. Bear us, guys. We bring it in the wrong place. We don't get the full audio, that we want. Too much technology for we. Hold on for us. We have a cold part here for a computer, but we told you guys that we're really trusting God that we can change the system we have, because it's like a cold pot. You gotta fan it, you gotta lash it up. But we're coming to come, folks. We're coming to come, and we're so happy that so many of you are here with us, folks. Hundreds of you have joined the live. Make the shares look nice, guys. Make the shares, share the live stream, and smash that emoji button for us. Make it look nice. I think we have one here. Let's see if we have this. The audio might be low.
Good day, sir.
You see the audio is low here.
I think some of those farmers whose crops were destroyed, they should have been out there with placards protesting.
This is very low.
So that these CARICOM leaders can see exactly what is going on here.
We're going to try to get that again. Bear with us. We're going to try to get that again. We want you to hear the full comment there. Because again, people saying there should have been a better show. I think that's what my sister's hinting at here. There should be a better show of force to let people know that, all is not well. Don't let me try to convey all is well. At least I don't think so, that all is well. Right? I don't know if that's the impression of other folks, but I don't think all is well at all. We're going to come back to that. Remind me to come back to that one. We're going to try to have another contributor. This is how it goes sometime. We're going to come right back to that contributor, folks. We're going to come right back. to that contributor?
What I see Sue. Let me.
Go ahead, Trina.
In the meantime, if I can just go into the comment section a little bit, I'm noting the comments just coming in from folks like Hilbert Knights is joining us from Bartica and Vibert White. I see Basil Clark and Carl Fordyce, and everyone is lending very heavily to the conversation, making some very sound points all together. And this is what we need. We need to have these conversations at this level because we are not going to be moving forward if we are just stuck in the past. And we have to do things. We have to basically do and not say. I think we have been. I think there's a lot being said on stage there right now. A lot of promises being made, but as we know, based on the track record, promises made by the administration does not go well. Well, I can say more particularly that it does not go well for the poor and the working class and the ordinary man altogether. And there is just a little section of society that actually benefits from all of what is going on. So again, I say I always hope that I always hope that I am wrong and that the working class and the ordinary man, the farmers out there altogether will be better able to benefit from all that is being said right now.
All right, we hear you. We hear you. We hear you. Hello, very good afternoon. Go right ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr.
You're live,
Duncan.
right?
You are live.
Yeah, listen. Hello?
Go right ahead. You're live. Once you know that.
No. Oh, you're on a program?
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Call-
wanted to talk with you
Call
personally.
back in another 10 minutes. Go right ahead, right?
Okay,
And
sorry. I'm very sorry.
great.
Okay.
Nearly talk. Go some business there now. Problems. Folks, we have a contributor.
Hello, Sherrod, and hi, Dorita. Good day to you guys. I must say today, well said by Mr. Keith Rowley. That man is a man of integrity and class. Following in the line of leadership of men in class is Eric Williams, Burnham, Granger, Obama, and Mandela, and Martin Luther King. These are men of class that all are well spoken. In comparison to the PPP, they are all of the lowest class, and they are at the bottom of the ladder. And they can't put their feet in any of these men's shoes and walk a mile. Hence the reason. These are all African descent. This is what the PPP have to realize. So out with the racism. And they have to realize black people are people of integrity, and they have great people in the black society. So kudos to all the great black leaders.
Thanks, Candy. Thanks for that. Thanks for that reminder. I think we have a final one. We may have missed one, but it's taking some time to load, or we may have missed two.
Yeah, that is correct. I think that sometimes we're not the comments are coming through a lot faster that the system is loading them, to say the least, to say the very least. But Deborah Clark, says that we are getting a feedback. But actually, what happened there is that when that voice note was being recorded to be sent through, there was some bit of conversation in the background being played.
Correct.
That's not from us.
Correct.
Hi, good afternoon, Sherrod. The members of the PPP party, they are myopic, mentally constipated, and arrogant. Again, like I said, we can't expect anything better coming out from these people.
Indeed, William.
All right? Look at the speech from Dr. Rowley. That it shows that is not a mail order degree. That's a degree from a recognized university. With respect to the food, food security in Guyana, I recall as a child, Guyana was once called breadbasket of the Caribbean.
in the late 60s and 70s, we supplied things like plantains, growing provision coming out from the Pomerone to the rest of the Caribbean. I can't see what is happening now. Hey, good afternoon again, Charlotte. Sorry to double dip, but with respect to transportation, remember Dr. Rowley talking about the two ships that were given to CARICOM. One was the CARICOM Venture, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But those ships were aged out and are no longer in operation. Those ships used to travel from Jamaica, from Guyana all the way up to Jamaica, transporting food and other goods.
Yep. And I think Dr. Rowley was arguing that we need some of those initiatives again because it's really connected the region in a very, very meaningful way.
I think he was specifically when it comes to that aspect of transportation. Also, he was speaking to the private sector, particularly those persons, the investors there at the moment. And he was saying if you want to do things that is really meaningful to help in CARICOM, do things like providing vessels for the people to travel at more importantly at an affordable rate. I think that is what is being underscored there a whole lot, because when those vessels could not operate anymore, they were not replaced, and that was the argument being put forward there by Mr. Rowley.
Yeah. The person who called us from 6138, the ending numbers for the phone number, it still says it's loading, and also from 8146, it still says it's loading. So apologies there, we're not missing the voice note. We'd love to play them, but it says at the back end here, it shows us that it's still loading. Folks, we really want to thank each and every one of you who joined the national podcast today. Who vex? Who vex? You heard that caller speaking to some of the guys who come with the mischief on the live instead of having something positive to contribute. You don't like me, don't like what we say. Do what you gotta do. Right? Go where you might find a message that is more appealing to you. Don't come and fright yourself here. That would be my advice. Don't come and fright yourself here and abuse up and so. But some of these people are trolls. They're paid to come and disturb and try to throw us off balance, but not us. Don't come wrong with like that. Right? Good to see Philomena Fontenelle and Rhonda Lane. Rhonda, thanks for your contribution. We're still looking at some of this stuff loading. Thanks as well, Rhonda Spencer, Tom, all the Rhondas here today, Anne Marie Roberts, and all the other guys who had the courage to give us a contribution for today's program. This is what this thing is about, together. We can't do it by ourselves, together. And I'm happy, as one of the contributors said, that if they listen, right, and have the courage to implement some of these things, maybe something's going to happen.
That is correct.
But we got to wait and see. We're going to be bringing you additional updates on this because it's a 3-day forum. It opened today, but it continues up until Saturday.
That is correct. And like I said, I think I'm going to be passing through to make sure that I have my own bit of conversation with the farmers that are there, and to find out firsthand what their expectations were, and if any was met thus far.
Yeah. I see some of the prices for the boots hot though.
Yeah, well, that may have filtered out all of the
to take
small
a price
and
of one of
medium
these
scale.
boots here, $3 million for a boot. They come with a couple of things. Yes, 3 million, 2 million, $1 million, 800,000, 500,000, 400,000 miles.
Well, therefore, the event was just strategically geared to shut out a certain sector, section of farmers.
Naomi Drucker says, Guyanese Spectator is one of them trolls. Folks, thanks for joining us. We see you guys back at 8. We're going to see you guys back at 8. Thanks for joining us. Remember, we can't do this thing without you. Each and every one of you are necessary to us. It's y'all giving them people pressure about these programs because y'all keep showing up, guys. You all know we're publicly funded. All that we do, and we're trying to replace one of our systems here. We need your help as well to get that done, to improve the quality of our broadcast, folks. And we hope that you guys can come on board and continue to contribute to our program. Every cent, folks, every cent goes back into these programs, offsetting the expenses that are associated with broadcasting them. Every cent goes back into them, and we invite you guys to continue to support our programs. We thank you for your generosity and your kindness. You all know we got Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, MMG. We're available via MoneyGram, via Western Union as well, folks, all for your convenience. We don't tell you how much to give. That's up to you based on your means. Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, MMG. We're available via MoneyGram, via Western Union as well, folks. And we have Zelle inclusive platforms available to you. You want to know you want any additional information? 627-6963 is the one number we have. Our WhatsApp number is our MMG number as well, 627-6963. Judy, that's the final word.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Make sure that you share the broadcast so other persons can benefit from the information and all the discussions that was had today. And of course, you're going to see you back at 8 p.m. this afternoon. And as usual, I'll be in the comment section monitoring, refereeing the fights in there. So have a great remainder of the day, and I see you all tonight.
Yeah. Share the live stream, folks. Share the broadcast so others get valid and credible information. That's our time. Stay safe. Stay safe.